Esper Deathblade's going to start it up with a Thoughtseize. We see a Bayou. We also have ourselves a Birchler Ranger, a Quirin Ranger. Looks like a Heritage Druid along with an Nettle Sentinel, an Elvish Visionary, and a Glimpse. So a one-lander, but Elves has been known to keep one-landers.
And a lot of mana third creatures here. I have to imagine Glimpses being selected out of this hand because there's so much redundancy here, and Glimpse is so dangerous.
It is a scary card to leave around. No argument there. It does, of course, depend on the contents of Ben's hand, but we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, maybe if he has multiple copies of Spell Pierce, he says you can take the Glimpse so I can try to cash in the Spell Pierces, but unless his hand has a really weird composition, I suspect the selection is Glimpse.
You see Ben's going to write down all the contents as all the cards are different here before selecting something, so it is decision-making time here in just a moment for Mr. Glancy as he is at 18, actually 17 to start the game because of the fetch land, so.
Well, this is the type of draw where if Ben is able to stick an early Stoneforge Mystic for Jitte, even without Shrewd Name Nemesis, he may be able to run away with the game before Nicholas can really get his defenses set up.
And one thing, of course, that does make this a little bit difficult, too, don't forget, is you do wonder how much has Ben actually played against this deck? So, what card do you actually take here? Well, it seems like Glimpse to me because it's the most powerful card. But Elvish Visionary is a pretty powerful card, too.
I just don't know how else you carve a hole into this hand. The question is, how else are you carving a hole in this hand?
I think it's between two cards. I think it's between Vision. I don't think I would have selected Birchler Ranger.
Some risky business.
I will say that. I don't think that's one of the powerful cards in his hand. There's a Quirin Ranger. There is a Liliana. This is a Ponder.
And Ben may have kept a one-lander.
Well, Flooded Strand, along with an Underground Sea, so he's found some. See, Treasure Cruise is the third card, but that's probably the least relevant of the bunch. There's also a Force Wilderness Grip. He's got a Swords of Plowshares, too. Take a draw. Flooded Strand, going to sacrifice that right away. Not wasting any time. See what he's going to search for. Goes with a Tundra.
When he's doing it like this, I imagine he is just casting a Source of Plowshares on the Quirin Ranger.
He's just going to pass a turn back, okay?
Okay.
Malatesta going to draw a card here. Did he pick up a second land? We'll find out. Yes, sir. It is a Misty Rainforest that comes into play for Nicholas.
And now if you're Nicholas, you got to be asking yourself, why would he let me keep Glimpse? Seems very dangerous.
I'd be thinking the same thing. There's Heritage Druid. Sacrifice this.
So I think Nicholas will probably show a lot of respect to Spell Pierce.
Okay.
Because it's the easiest way for Ben to convince himself to take something other than the Glimpse.
Basic Forest. This is what Nick will find here. Fetchland's very potent in the Elves deck. Can search for Bayou or Savannah if you're splashing. Of course, Dried Arbor, we can't forget about that one. Plays an important role in the deck. See if he wants to play anything else this turn.
Well, he does want to make sure he has enough gas left over that if he's able to resolve Glimpse, he can really go and do something. So he also wants to develop his board, so trying to figure out that balance is the challenge here.
There's the Swords. Take care of that. Pass the turn back. It's a Flooded Strand off the top. Glancy's going to play that, sacrifice it right away. He's down to 14.
And this is an opportunity for him to stick Liliana the Veil, but that's a hard card to try to hinge too much of your game plan around against Elves because they can flood the board so easily.
Doesn't take much.
In fact, Ben knows that Nicholas's hand is saturated right now with one-mana creatures.
There is the Liliana. And bye-bye Quirin Ranger. So Ben keeping his head above water here, game number 1. Two mana. Visionary, time to draw. Doesn't look like he found a land to play.
I think there's a reasonable chance if he had land number 3 ready to go, he may have glimpsed and tried to fire off some 1-mana creatures. But there is some additional padding to fight through this Liliana next turn.
There's a Cradle into the Nettle Sentinel before passing back over to Glancy. So better than I thought. Ponder. Hit 1 Force, 2 is Delta, 3 is Treasure Cruise. Do agree with you. Treasure Cruise is one of the poorer cards in this matchup, I think.
Well, he still may have an opportunity to fire off his Ancestral Recall.
Yeah.
Even at its worst, it's still looking like it's going to be fine here.
Yeah, well, cruising for a bruising. Way more cards down the bin than I thought.
Yeah,
Jeez.
fills up fast. And now, through all of this, he has now set up Stoneforge Mystic plus Force of Will backup.
Well, that's not a bad place to be. See if he wants to cast a Stoneforge Mystic this turn. He's already got Batterskull in the hand. He can work his way towards Umezawa's Jite.
And that's the real prize against elves.
Yeah. I'm going to start by taking this up. Time to discard. There goes Batterskull. Let's see that one get discarded to Leon too often.
Well, it doesn't matter that much against elves. Once you start connecting with Umezawa's Jite, they can't catch up, so
There's Stoneforge.
no reason to go out of your way trying to establish Batterskull.
And there's the Jite. Malatesta ready to take his turn. We'll see what Nicholas can put together here.
I feel like the first order of business is taking care of Liliana with the Nettle Sentinel. Because there's no way Benno offers up a block.
Be surprised if he did. Oh, he's already reaching here for some number of mana. Might be trying a natural order. Yes. Force of Will says no. Remove a Spell Pierce. And if you can see Nick's hand, he actually has a Glimpse and a natural order. And that's really about it.
So this is a bit of an order of operations catastrophe here for Nicholas.
Yeah, it really is.
If he attacks first, then plays the natural order post-combat, he can block the Stoneforge Mystic and force Ben to find a second creature before he can reestablish. Now, he might just be locked.
Yep. Cradle doesn't do anything right now either.
Neither do most creatures. And
Yep. This is what it takes.
Once this happens to elves, they can't really catch up.
And for one again. 2 counters on the Jite. And this isn't game over because, you know, a card like Reclamation Sage can sort of work him out from underneath this. But Ben does have a Force Will, and all he needs is another blue card. And he might actually have a blue card in his hand. I think he may have Treasure Cruise in his hand right now. And if that's the case, it might be lights out.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's cruising for a bruising.
I don't like cruising very much here because I feel like Ben has the win already.
I do too. I don't think he needs any more cards. He could not draw a card for the rest of the game.
How do you lose this game? You miss a blue card on this draw, Nicholas untaps and finds Reclamation Sage, and you're playing Magic again.
Yep. Yeah, that's the big one. I honestly think if he has Forceful blue card and then Umezawa Jite attacking with a creature, I think he could not draw a card for the rest of the game and win.
Correct. There's only one Reclamation Sage.
3 cards drawn, Swords of Plowshares and 2 lands, so no blue card for the Force of Will. Nick's gonna draw a card. Let's see if he can find land plus Reclamation Sage. Cradle's not tapping anything, so it's just an Elvish Visionary. That'll cantrip. There's a land. Nick knows he's in trouble, though. Jite counter's going to take care of the Elvish Visionary. And Glancy will draw. Picks up another land, but now he has the ability to hard cast a Force of Will. There's a Flooded Strand for the turn. Here's an attack for just 1. 2 charge counters going to Jite. Malatesta's going to go to 17. And Ben Glancy, our #1 overall seed, is in the driver's seat right now.
And this is the game he really needed to pull off here because I think post-board he has a much better shot.
Here's the Zenith.
And this is for 2, it appears. I think for 3, Ben would fight over this because he can go get Reclamation Sage.
Yeah, I think the situation here for 2, that's fine.
Probably getting a Visionary,
Yeah.
trying to find something, trying to get something going.
For 3, I'm not okay with this. For 2, by all means, you get the cantrip, I get to kill your Visionary, and keep right on doing my thing. I'll take care of that. Mystery card coming here in just a moment. He's going to add a green mana there with the Cradle while he can. And I see Deathrite Shaman's going to remove something here to drain a little bit.
I think there's a natural order from a couple turns ago.
Yep. So he's going to draw a card here in just a moment. Spell Pierce. Kind of stinky, but it's a blue card for Force of Will, so at its worst, it's still okay.
And could come up if Nicholas tries a natural order.
Yeah. 2 charge counters on the Jite. Pass it back over to Malatesta. Draws a copy of Verdant Catacombs. We might see this search up maybe a Dryad Arbor to cast natural order. Might just get a land. As Nick does go through the deck. That's Basic Forest. This is in for 3. That's Spell Pierce, so I suppose Spell Pierce could come up. Yeah. That would have been an attempt at a Reclamation Sage there to kill the Jite.
And it's a spell in the graveyard, and now another Deathrite Shaman activation.
Sure. Take a draw. Opponent's at 11. 4 counters is 8. 1 from the Stoneforge is 9, so it looks like lethal to the naked eye.
Yep, 4 times 2 plus 1 plus 2. That's 11.
Yeah. Looks like we are seeing some pumps. So 8 plus 1 is 9, and Deathrite Shaman should be point 10 and 11. I think both players trying to figure out if the life totals are correct here. Make sure everything is kosher. And he's going to go reaching for Deathrite. Remove the Spell Pierce and remove you from the game. Ben Glancy is going to win game #1 here over Nicholas Malatesta. As for Deathblade, up a game here over Combo Elves. A big game for Ben to win.
Big upset there in the first game. A very disruptive draw from Ben. And was able to have removal spells, Thoughtseize, a quick Umezawa's Jite, and that's the recipe.
Yeah.
Didn't draw his dead weight, which is good for him in that game.
Trivia time. Rules question.
Cedric will ask you a question. Tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responses, one will be selected at random for an entire year of StarCityGames.com premium content. It's about accuracy and not speed, so don't worry about submitting your answer first, just accurately. Please bear in mind that this giveaway is run at the sole discretion of StarCityGames.com, and that Twitch.tv is no way affiliated with giveaways or contests on its stream.
We're going to have a versus video live at the Grand Prix. That's going to be sweet. The last one we did Orlando was fun.
That was really fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, BVD cracking a foil flooded strand.
Naturally.
Was pretty sweet. And BVD's opponent in Orlando will be the exact same one in New Jersey. Name his opponent in the live versus video. I would be surprised if someone got this wrong. Brian Braun to win versus
versus
Yeah.
Right.
Best of luck.
There's a cadence to it.
Absolutely there is. And again, if you can name the person that BBD will be playing against in our live versus video in New Jersey, hashtag the answer with hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live.
And for extra bonus credit, make sure to enter his handle into your answer because he really likes that.
He loves it. Back to the match we go. Take a look at the sideboards here. We will see from Mr. Malatesta, additional Reclamation Stage to take care of equipment. You've also got a Scavenging Ooze, 2 copies of Abrupt Decay. That can work towards killing the Jite. Surgical Extraction, Gek, Teague, Lure, Selvok, Outcast. Somebody didn't want to lose to Infect. A Progenitus, 4 copies of Cabal Therapy, a Natural Order, and a Thoughtseize. Anything else you like?
Not the first time I've seen Malira in an Elf sideboard today. It's starting to pick up in popularity a little bit. Besides that, I don't really like the discard spells all that much because I think the fight is basically over Umezawa's Jite. That's the thing. So I like the cards that play to the board in that respect. The Reclamation Sage and the 2 copies of Abrupt Decay. I wouldn't want to do a ton of sideboarding besides that.
Other side here for Ben, 1s and 2s all around. We saw this a little bit earlier in the day. It's got a Cage, a Needle, a Progenitus, Sword of Feast and Famine, Meddling Mages, Flush of Storm. You see all the 1s and the 2s. It looks like Verdict is great. A fan of Cage, obviously. You got to like the Needle, Sword of Feast and Famine, too.
Yeah, and the 2 copies of Zealous Persecution are the big prize here for Ben. It sweeps up most of Nicholas's action. So a lot of the other cards you mentioned, I think Rattrigger's Cage is nice, Pithy Needle is nice, but Zealous Persecution is the big upgrade he makes here. Supreme Verdict is excellent as well.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if this game is going to go like the last one did, but if that's the case, Ben Glancy will be our Legacy Open champion here in Worcester.
I think he picks up some upgrades because game 1, his deck is just Umezawa's Jitte. That's really the only thing he has going on that matters. And Nicholas has to sideboard a lot of answers to that card specifically. And you see Reclamation Sage, 2 copies of Abrupt Decay. All he can really do is try to play around Zealous Persecution. There's no card he can sideboard in to answer it directly. I guess the discard spells sort of count, but not really. And so that extra dimension, I think, gives Ben a huge boost in the post-board games.
Looks like friend of Ben Glancy, Eric Smith, the Invitational champion from last year. He's hanging out here, rooting Ben on, hoping he can get the job done here. Said on Twitter, they're rooting on a Railbirding a Friends finals match is way more stressful than playing.
I don't know if that's true.
Depends on who you are.
Yeah, sure.
There's some people who really enjoy Railbirding matches.
Me, for example.
Tim Ayton. He likes to railbird, not play. You do love a good railbird. You're
It's
part of
true.
the ARA.
It's true, the American Railbird Association.
Yeah, you even have a badge and everything.
Founding member. Was given a badge by Sam Stoddard.
That's true.
Used it as a press badge. Sort of, what's the, fraudulently, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
That
at
is the word you're
Grand
looking for, yes.
Prix. I'm with the press.
Not a lot of members of the ARA.
If you have a laminated badge, you can go wherever you want. No one will stop you, no matter where you're going.
It's actually true. Yeah.
Yep.
This has stuff on it, so
Right.
I'm going to walk by you now.
Yep.
So you know we should get some more laminated
Yeah.
badges.
Any concert you want to get into a bank vault, just make a just make it an official looking laminated badge. You go wherever you want.
I'm here to talk to the manager.
Tell them that you're with some acronym. You know, don't clarify. Give no details.
I'm with the CED.
Wear a suit, and you can do
Definitely a
whatever.
suit. Definitely a
you can
suit.
do whatever you want.
I think what's more important, the suit or the acronym?
The suit.
You have to say the acronym confidently.
Right. With the ARA, please step aside.
I said please step aside.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Go wherever you want.
Sounds like you've never done this before. Not once have you ever done this.
Just saying.
Let's see what happens here between Glancy and Malatesta.
The point here, confidence and presentation, it's worth a lot.
It's everything.
It's everything. The facts are definitely secondary, among other things.
I do like the use of step aside. You don't really get to use that
What's your name?
in everyday language
Yep.
or conversation. Excuse me, step aside. A member of the ARA is coming through.
What's your boss's name?
See if Nick can find a 7 that he likes.
Showing his, I guess, quite bad opening hand to our head judge as he
Indeed.
giggles and mulligans.
Rob Castellan, Pro Tour Dragons Maze top 8 competitor,
Yes.
putting on the judge shirt this weekend.
Opponent I once had to apologize to profusely for my reaction after top decking the win against him in Game 3 of a Grand Prix.
Grow up.
I know it was not my finest moment.
Let's see, I'm trying to think of what terrible burn spell you drew against him. I bet it was a
You're
real doozy.
you're on the right path because it was the worst one in the deck.
Was it Legacy?
Yes.
Okay. Your range. Oh, I Guerrilla Tactics.
It was. That's a good guess. No, it was Rift Bolt.
Ah. I know you've slept with the Guerrilla Tactics before.
The turn before he was about to dread return back and Ancestors Chosen.
You could beat that.
No, he would have gone to 40-something, I think. But he was very nice about it. Very nice gentleman.
Really wish it would have been the Tactics.
The drastic tactics.
Yeah. These those Liliana punks a lesson. Oh, I'll discard. I don't mind. Did you ever get with anyone with that at Denver?
Yeah, Josh Ravitz in a feature match. That was my one.
That's worth it all by itself.
That was
really.
my one guerrilla tactics.
Did you direct it to the Liana, or do we go upstairs?
He himmed me.
Oh, wow. Teach him a lesson.
I did. Well, then he top forward and I didn't win another match. So
We have to talk about. I wasn't going to bring that up.
right.
Was not going to bring that up.
So we both learned some lessons, I guess.
See if Nick can find a better 6 here. Ben patiently waiting with his 7. He's good. We're off. Wooded Foothills. Included Delta. And a Deathrite Shaman. Great start for Ben. Nick going to sacrifice the Wooded Foothills. We'll see if it'll be a Dryad Arbor. And it is. So 19 all.
Now we'll see the extent of Nicholas's hand. Pretty rare for them to pass on turn 1 like this.
Yeah, I mean, he did mulligan, so it's tough to say exactly what the contents of his hand are. Of course, we haven't gotten a great look at him just yet.
And Ben's hand is really well equipped to punish a mulligan here with 2 copies of Thoughtseize and a Swords to Plowshare. So when your opponent mulligans, one of the best things you can do is just trade 1 for 1, regardless of text boxes. Ben's hand is very well equipped to do that.
Probably cast a Treasure Cruise after that.
Yep. Go re-up.
Cradle tapping for 1 mana because of Dryad Arbor. Elvish Visionary, got a cantrip. And back to Ben we go. Draw a card, Vendilion Click. Thoughtseize is going to lead it off. See Reclamation Sage, Green Sun Zenith, Natural Order, and 2 copies of Glimpse. Huh.
So now, this is the guessing game that Ben has to play here, is did Nicholas bring in Progenitus? Because this Natural Order is either not really relevant right now or a disaster, depending on whether or not Progenitus is in Nicholas's deck.
I would try to play around Progenitus if I was Ben.
You respect the possibility of it being in his deck.
I do.
I do too. I like going to Progenitus in matchups where they have access to Zealous Persecution, because building up a critical mass is difficult. But you can play 1 card, go get a Progenitus, and put him to the test to have his 1 copy of Supreme Verdict.
Ben does have a copy of Supreme Verdict in his hand, though. But he's going to go with the Natural Order, and now it looks like he's going to fire off another Thoughtseize. See if he wants to go maybe after the Zenith here. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like the path on the Thoughtseize is either take both Glimpses or take 2 other things.
Here's the Swords. He's going to go with the Dryad Arbor. So clear all this stuff out. Leave you with 1 land in Cradle, though it is a very powerful land. And see what you can muster. The draw was a Crater of Behemoth.
Perfect.
Yeah. In for 1. Glancy down to 14. He will draw a card. Pith Needle the draw. You see the Verdict, the Needle, the Vendilion Click. Not sure what the 4th card is. Just going to pass the turn back here. Malatesta will draw step. It's time to click ya. Looks like a little bit of conversation with our judge there just to make sure everything is being done appropriately here. And it looks like he may be shuffling his deck. Not sure if he shuffled from something, but
Sure.
it looks like we're okay either way, as both players agree on the game state. It looks like he accidentally saw his top card.
Aha.
So an honest mage.
Yeah, and it's not like it, it's not like any of Nicholas's cards got rearranged order-wise, so. I think this is one of those, you can keep them.
Abrupt Decay was the draw, but I think I agree with you. You can have them.
You keep them. Those are yours.
Those all stink.
Yep. I don't want to give Nicholas mana or 1-mana creatures. So.
And he should not draw a card because he did that in the draw step.
Yep.
So it looked like Ben tried to stop him from drawing a card. And it was not added to his hand. So it looks like he may have stopped himself just fast enough.
Well, I don't know. If any part of that card makes contact with the cards in his hand.
Yeah, that is the rule.
I mean, we'll see here in a moment.
Yep. So it looks like we're going to pause this game. I think our table judge is asking the head judge exactly what to do in this situation. It's kind of a weird situation, right? Because he was just Vendilion clicked, so you know all the cards in his hand. So if he draws a card, it's like, well, we can figure out what that card is.
Well, it's not.
Fix it
The problem is that it's not really even about fixing the game necessarily. The problem is because there's an opportunity to get an edge or to potentially cheat, that you just have to draw lines in the sand at various points.
Yep.
And you don't want the judges having to interpret whether or not, you know, you don't want it to get in a situation where, well, we can figure out his hand, so that's fine, we can put a card back. And another scenario where we can't figure out his hand, and now this person gets a game loss. You want to be adjudicating in a consistent fashion. And you also have to draw lines in the sand, even though there's no malice there.
Yep.
It doesn't look like anyone was trying to cheat. Just, it's awkward when you get stopped in your draw step. It stops your natural rhythm. It's not the first time we've seen Vanilla Ink do this. So the judge will rule, but if the card entered his hand, then that just has to be a game loss.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate in circumstances where it doesn't appear like any edge was trying to be generated, but I'd rather have the rules be firm and codified and enforced consistently rather than leave it up to interpretation.
Yep. So we will see what the ruling is here in just a moment. When we do have that for you guys, we will certainly let you know. So it looks like we're back to playing here, and it looks like he's just going to shuffle. So looks like we're all good here now. He's already drawn a card for the turn. Again, the Vanilla Click was in the draw step, so he'll shuffle and present his deck. And hopefully for Nick, he does not try to draw a card again this turn.
And again, because the click didn't put anything on the bottom of the deck,
Yep.
there's no organization of the deck. Nothing has to get set aside. It's just a random deck.
So Nick, do not draw a card.
Stop.
Yeah, and Nick says, I think, yeah, a warning on each there, but Nick just shuffles his deck and says, I'm done, because I can't do anything. Flooded Strand the draw. It looks like Glancy's card that was a mystery was actually another Vanilla Click.
Time to start racing.
Yeah, give the beatdowns. You're ahead.
You got a 4-turn clock here because I believe there's 4 spells between the 2 graveyards, so.
Take a draw. Nick's saying, is this okay? We got a Wooded Foothills off the top. That's pretty big. Let's him play some Magic now.
Yeah, he can find a Bayou with it and cast an Abrupt Decay.
Yeah.
Which is not even that bad for Ben because he does have the backup to Vendilion Click, as we mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Deathray Charm, I'm going to remove something here. Take a draw here. Brainstorm. That's a powerful Magic card. And that's a pretty good place to start. So Ben will cast it. 1 is Meddling Mage, 2 is a Polluted Delta, 3 is a Ponder. Looks like Pith Needle's going to go back pretty quickly.
Yeah, nothing with an activated power in play, and Nicholas's hand also not susceptible to Pith Needle.
Thought about a Ponder there. Changes his mind. And looks like he's going to play a Polluted Delta. See what else he wants to do on this turn. Sacrifice the Flooded Strand. Search up a land. Go get yourself a Tundra.
And if Nicholas has the intention of getting a Bayou here and casting Abrupt Decay on the Vendilion Click, I'd prefer to just do this on the main phase all the time because you don't want Ben going untap, play a Caracas, go into combat.
That's a disaster state. Here's a Ponder. If you click back for more, you just try to put it away.
Well, this is not bad. I mean, getting a Force of Will here and the option to get a Vendilion Click if he so chooses. Looks like he's immediately just shuffling away, though.
Yeah.
But this Meddling Mage is awesome because if Ben casts it and Nicholas says resolves, he can name Abrupt Decay. And if Nicholas casts Abrupt Decay in response, he names Glimpse.
Yep.
And now Nicholas' hand is dead-ended.
Well, let's see if he's going to have a response. Yes, he will. So probably searching up a Bayou.
The original artwork.
Oh, you don't like the one that's in play?
I am not a stickler for that sort of thing.
You don't like it? Okay.
That's not what I said. That is a misrepresentation.
It's okay if you don't like it.
What I said was I don't mind either way.
Chris doesn't believe you.
Well, I know Chris is not thrilled about this. But
Name Glimpse. Just fine with it either way. And now here comes the beatdowns. And now we could be in a world, right, where Abrupt Decay is just going to go after the Meddling Mage, turn Glimpses back on.
Yeah.
Yep. So away that goes. Take a draw here. A third Glimpse. That hand is... It has the potential to get somewhere. It needs to hurry up, though.
Yes. And Ben is not going to give him that much time because we're back in 2-turn territory. Nicholas at 10 and 2 5-point swings staring at him. I think Ben with Force of Will backup.
In case anything goes wrong.
Yep.
This is 4. Make it 5. I see a Batter Skull. All right.
And I'm not a fan of casting the Batter Skull here.
I don't think it's necessary because you're giving it... There's a chance you're giving him an extra turn now.
Yeah, because the Visionary can chump block.
Yeah.
I guess if you're concerned about Abrupt Decay, this is fine to just get another threat into play.
Sure.
But it feels like Batter Skull is so cumbersome. Nicholas can provide one chump block, and if he has a stream of blockers or is able to get a glimpse off, then he may not have to worry about this card at all.
This is going to be Reclamation Sage. He's going to Force of Will this, I think. I feel like that's a relatively aggressive use of Force of Will, but Nick is going to show his hand and extend it. Ben Glancy is going to win this match over Nicholas Malatesta. 2-0. Esper Deathblade goes undefeated through our Legacy Open, and Ben Glancy is our champion here in Worcester.
2 straight Legacy Opens, won by a deck featuring Treasure Cruise.
Get used to it, people.
Very different deck this time, too.
Get used to it. Not going anywhere.
See, the blue-red Delver deck that won, I guess people could point at that deck and say, well, this is gimmicky enough that maybe Treasure Cruise is a bit deck-specific. Once it gets added to something as stock as Esper Deathblade, you got to say this card should just be all over the place.